After our exclusive one-on-one interview with Hype Plus in May, entrepreneur and executive Dame Dash joins us for the Comedy Hype news show to promote his latest film, Prince of Detroit, starring Faison Love, Columbus Short, and so many others. We're also joined by Pierre and Capone to dive in today's discussion. Now, I won't lie, I'm very excited for today. First and foremost, thank you, Dame Dash, for joining us. We're truly honored to have you. We'll give him a round of applause for joining us today. Now, I'm gonna start off with the obvious. You know, Capone and Dame Dash, y'all have the shades going on, but this is a reunion. Over 20 years, y'all actually have worked together. This is a reunion right here on the Comedy Hype News Show. So, Capone, I'll come to you. I know y'all have worked together on 2 films. So to kind of reunite, you know, what are your thoughts and emotions right now?
Three films. We did State Property 2 as well.
Yeah.
Everybody knows how I feel about Dame. It's no secret. I said it throughout the course of the years. You know, he gave me the first opportunity to star in a major movie. And, you know, he just took a chance with a couple of young comedians. Some of us was more successful than others, but he saw something in us and brought it to the big screen. And me personally, I'll never forget that. You know, I'm always thankful for that.
Thank you, bro.
Absolutely. Dame, let me ask you, because you know, that culture.
Clear something up about the shades. These have medicine in them. If I have to wear glasses, they just have to be cool glasses. That's all. But I have to wear glasses. I got my cataracts done.
I'm not mad at it at all. I'm not mad at it. They look good. Everybody looks good. We got Pierre with shades on too, so.
But
I got medicine in them. I want you to know that.
Good.
Pierre, let me bring you into the conversation. We have Dame Dash on the show. You know, it's a reunion for Capone, but I know also you've seen the career of Dame Dash as well. I want you to chime in as well. What are your thoughts right now?
One thing is I have actually been a fan. Me and him I think we think mentally alike when it comes to business. You know, we've been grinding. I haven't had a day job since 1993. I don't know how long he's not had a day job. But one thing I want to question, because I get it sometimes. Dame, you know, you got a big personality. Some people say you rub them the wrong way. So, you know, just whatever. You're a New Yorker, I would say that, or a businessman. What do you feel that, are you misunderstood, and how can people understand you better? What are people missing about you? You know, when they see you, they think, oh, if it's a negative situation, what aren't they understanding about you?
They don't understand my language. Most of the people that feel offended when I talk are from a completely different vibration of mental thought. I only think in boss. I only think in general. I don't think in soldier. I don't think in employee. So my thoughts come out in a language. If you're not thinking in boss, it will probably be offensive to you because you're not in a room full of bosses most of the time. And the thing is, as a boss in a general, I actually do talk to people that I employ, and I actually do talk to people that I consider soldiers so that they can become generals and so that they can become bosses. So, you know, if you're not ready to elevate your game and you're a little sensitive, especially if you're a dude, then you know, I'm gonna rub you the wrong way. And
there it is.
And the one thing about being a boss is not having concern about how people feel about things. Because when you're paying someone to do something and they're not doing it, and you're telling them to doing it, you're not going to get the best response no matter what. The chemicals are going to do. But most people have never been bosses before, so they don't know how to talk. They don't know how to feel. You don't know how to, you wouldn't understand till you get to that vibration. So I can guarantee you this: there is no real boss. Only ones pretending to be bosses that are offended by the way I talk. Only people that are not bosses are offended because they feel kind of a little bit inadequate about the fact that they're not. So they tend to overcompensate. It's like a guy that knows his girl likes another guy, so he talks bad about the guy to his girl. That's mostly that's the same guy that doesn't like the way I talk.
I like that. I'm gonna use that because I feel the same goddamn way.
I was about to say that gave Pierre some fuel to his fire on the show. Oh my gosh. But Dame, something else I know you're big on is independence, right? And I've seen different interviews. I've heard you talk about this, and we've seen, not even just heard you talk about it, we've seen it throughout your career. Before I dive into the details of that, why is independence so important to you? Like, why is that a thing that you have continued to push since the beginning?
I mean, listen to the verbiage. Independence, you know, it's all in the words. Independence means freedom. Freedom means you can do whatever you want. If you don't have independence, that means you're dependent on somebody else. As a grown-ass man, you should not be dependent on no one else on any vertical of your life to me. So independence means freedom. Freedom is priceless. You cannot pay me to be a slave. You cannot pay me to give away my independence. If you ask somebody if they're in jail, if they have $1 billion in the bank, would they give every dollar of that away to be free? Or would they just stay in the jail and have $1 billion? They would give every dollar back. Freedom is priceless, and things that are priceless are free. You just got to fight for it.
Yeah, but let me ask you something. But Dame, some people aren't built that way. You know, the life is not structured. The world is not structured with all bosses.
Remember that thing I said? I can't be caring about other people so much. What I do is I tell everybody if they want to do it, they do it. If not, they not. They don't. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, that's on you.
All right. Damn.
Let me ask you something. Let me chime in. Let me ask you something, Dame, because one of the things we talked about on this show as well is just the culture that we're in, right? You have cancel culture. You have people talk about being blackballed. Do you think independence can kind of be the opposite end of that to help you not be blackballed, to help you not be canceled?
In corporate, completely I'm blackballed, 100%. There's 5 or 6 gentlemen, and leading what I call out names like a Steve Stout, that have put together a plan based on what I've heard from other people publicly on interviews, but I always knew it anyway, where they actually say corporately, he can't eat or you can't eat with me. And because I'm not corporate, yeah, they tend to move that way. I completely have to eat off the land. I'm completely dependent on my people. I'm completely dependent on my culture to buy my products. So for that, my products have to be good because I can't disappoint them. But me, for the last 15, 20 years, no corporate. It's been completely cash and carry. No one gives me a check I got to earn. And I'm pretty proud of that. You know, it's the difference between a house slave and somebody that runs out in the street and punishes the people that hire the house slave. You know, I'm just not that guy. And if you notice, anyone, and I say culturally, like, you know, anyone that the other culture is celebrating too much is doing too much for the other culture. And that's just obvious. So they're definitely going to empower you if you're going to sell out your whole world. If you're going to sell out your culture and your crew. If you will sell out your crew, if you will sell out your culture, then you could be accepted in corporate because that's the only criteria you have to have. Sell out. First, let us demasculate you, make you wear a dress. If it's movies, you know, make you sell out your culture. And talk about, you know, killing your brother. If it's music, and not say a word when I pass you the money and we bury these kids. You know?
Yeah.
So you know, so corporate doesn't behoove us. No, you got to understand it all starts in the education. We still go by a curriculum that was established by Thomas Jefferson till this day. And in that curriculum is for a black man to know how to listen to a white man. And that's proven. That's not even like some with the funny stuff in TikTok. That's a real fact. We still deal with the curriculum that was given to us by the people that had slaves 200 years ago. So why would I listen to anybody or even work with anybody that still has that mentality?
Well, let me ask you a question, Dame. Okay, when did you get to that point? Because when you first got into business, didn't you work with Def Jam?
They asked, I mean, off top, they wanted me to sell out Rockware, sell out Jay-Z. I wouldn't, so they gave him the rock. But whatever, I wasn't going to do that. But I didn't want to be given nothing. I'd rather earn on my own. There's no way in the world I'm going to work for a nerd. It's just not going to happen. Or, you know, you're not going to tell me what to do if you're not better than me. You know, so it just didn't work out that way, and you're not putting up any bread. So, you know, it does sometimes get aggravating because it's like things could move a lot quicker. When I have ideas, people get to copy them corporately because I don't have that money to get to. Nobody that has bread that you know of is using their own bread. They're using other people's bread. You understand what I'm saying? I'm the only one that really still, 20 years later, has to use my own bread or independently, you know, do some degree of a collaboration. But I'm still making movies. I still have a conglomerate. I still have companies to pass to my children. The Prince of Detroit is the reason why we're here, is the culmination of all of that. So if I was trying to get a movie made and shop a treatment, one about a positive image of a black family making money other than entertainment or basketball would never go. No one from another culture would never fund that. So we have to fund that. And then we have to direct that. And then we have to produce that. And then after that, I'm not kissing nobody's ass to be seen. So I'm going to go do the deals myself. I don't need a middleman to distribute my shit. So the big thing about this is it's in AMC theaters like every other big movie is all over the country. But you know what's different? You don't see Deadline talking about it or Page Six or any of those people corporately. Only my people are talking about it. Why? They don't want to see it, show you an image of a black man doing it on his own without wearing a dress. They don't want to show an image of a black man getting distribution on his own. You know, without somebody helping us, they will not showcase us. They'll never show us doing anything on our own. And I'm not mad at them for that. I'm going to show it on my own. So I'm going to make my own movies about what I want to make. And, you know, my people will support it because they always do, because I always give them the work that they need and I'll evolve them. If you're going to give me some money, I'm going to make you better, not distract you. But corporate money is to distract you so that they can keep killing our culture. And the cycle starts with the schools and the jails. And we could get to that another time, but I just wanted to, you know, completely make sure people understand the assignment is to support independence and positive visuals of our culture where they know that we don't need them. When we do things like that, we have to support. So I know most people don't go to a theater, but let's go to a theater, just get the experience. And then it's going to come out 5 days later on my network, America New, which will be launching. And you'll be able to get it direct to consumer like everybody else, like a Netflix. But just know that on my streaming service, my movies are good enough to go theatrical on my own. That's how good the movies are. I did that on my own, you know what I mean? But no one's saying nothing. It'd be funny, like, it'd be like, yo, Dave does this amazing shit, and it's just normal. Nothing I'm doing is normal. It ain't normal to have 10 different companies all independently funded, all of them be good for the person that's the chairman of the company to direct it, you know, produce it, edit it, be the rock group in it, you know, do all the creative things, design the clothes to it, all of those things. All of those verticals get stimulated. I have good taste in everything I could think about. So, but no one's gonna say nothing. So that's why you gotta be brash. That's why you have to disturb people that are not listening because they're in loss. They're in a fog. They've been distracted their whole life. They hate their life.
Yeah, now I'm gonna get to Prince of Detroit because I'm super excited to show everybody here the trailer for that. But quick question, because something that you mentioned, you know, when it comes to corporate and in supporting our own, Ice Cube actually just went viral right now because he's frustrated because the Big Three League is not getting the support from the NBA and other, as he calls it, gatekeepers. I want to read a quote and then I want to come and get your thoughts. And Pierre and Capone, I'll open the floor for y'all as well because I know that ownership is
I don't usually talk about other people's business though or commenting on it, but big shout out to Ice Cube, and I think everything he's doing is legendary. But I don't really know what's going on, so I can't give an opinion on it. But the only thing I can say is I don't expect anyone that's making money exploiting our culture to ever celebrate someone from our culture not exploiting our culture or making money in the same lane. Don't ever expect it. Don't get mad at it. Only thing you get mad at is if you don't do nothing about it. If you have to internalize it, then yeah, that'll piss you off. But if you have the platform to speak and platform to say and platform to do, then don't get mad. I mean, rather don't get mad at them, get mad at yourself for not, you know, working it out. Because that's what I do. I be mad at me. People be on my nerve for acting like bitches, you know, men, but it'd be like, yo, it is what it is. I decided not to play with y'all, pause at all. But y'all still make me sick a little, but I'm not gonna blame you for anything going on within my destiny. I'm gonna keep pushing.
Nice.
Let me read this quote really quick. So here's a quote from Ice Cube. He said, really, I don't give a F about working with the NBA. What I want them to do when I say work with us is stop working against us. Stop doing that BS behind the scenes. We know what you're doing. That's cool. We can do it ourselves. You know what I'm saying? We're still on the rise without these MFers, so we don't need them and you don't need them. So I agree, Dame. I don't think there's, you know, anything that you can speak directly to because there's a lot behind the scenes that we may not just know about. But I think it kind of mirrors exactly what you're talking about, which is why I brought it into the conversation, not necessarily to speak on Ice Cube, but the situation itself. Let me let Capone chime in. We haven't had a chance to hear from Capone.
And Capone, did I not just pick you? I went to a comedy show and was like, maybe the next day, let's go.
Yes, you did. Now, here's what the question that I have. You discovered quite a bit of us that day. The show that you came to was at Caroline's. Kevin Hart was my opening act. You came to me and your exact words was, yo, I'm doing a movie. I want to put you in a movie. And I said, well, how many comedians you want? And you said, nah, bring you. I got Smokey. and bring the little guy. You didn't even know his name, Kevin Hart at the time. You said the little guy. So I said, all right, we was in your office. We've been rolling ever since. Now, my thing is, we cut from the same cloth, Harlem, Bronx, whatever. I've always reached out, always gave you props due. Them other niggas, except for Smokey, are cut from a different cloth. I just wonder, wasn't I talented enough to keep moving forward with? Because I write, I do everything. And one thing you've always taught me, I remember you saying this about a comedian. I said, well, why you don't fuck with him no more? And you said, you know what? I've watched this brother throughout the course of the years and nothing has changed. He does the same material. He does this and he does that. So that stuck to me. That always stuck to me to say, wow, I got to make sure that I stay on top of everything that I'm doing, that I don't be looked at as Dame looked at this other comedian. And that stuck to me for years. My son saw you. I've reached out to you. Like, I got fucking piles of shit. And I know that I'm still relevant, but I see that one situation, I don't know if it hurt you or whatever, but it did upset you because it wasn't reciprocated back when you did what you did for that person. And I know you don't talk about other people.
I can
like,
talk
we
about
talked
people
a lot.
that I did business with. You talking about Kev?
Yeah.
So the difference between Kev and everyone else is, to be honest, two things. So with Kev's career, he would come to me. It was funny because they had asked me to produce Soul Plane, right? And I had a meeting with them and I read the script and I was offended. Like, I would never, ever fucking produce this movie because it's offensive. You know, I don't like y'all laughing at
Right.
me. You know, we can laugh at us, but you're not gonna laugh at us. Like, don't ever give me a script like this. And then I remember the next day, Kev, like, yo, I got Soul Plane. I'm like, you gonna do that shit? So he was always willing to do certain things I wouldn't do. But the one thing that he did do is he did the comedy show, because he come to me the same way y'all did. And he said, yo, just, you know, record me doing the show and put it out. And I said, record the show and put it out. He said, you do it. I said, you do it. You know how to fucking record a show? And he did it. And then he went and he was in Hollywood. He went, got the agent. I knew the agent he got, they partnered up and, you know, he just opened up his own lane. But at the end of the day, he did do it himself. So in this moment, the way I help people is my company I have a vertical that does distribute movies. We have over 50, 60 movies on Tubi right now. I have a music company, Blue Rock, that does distribute music. So what I do now is, if I've taught you the game, it's time for you to be a general. And then we can work like generals. So if you come to me with something done, I can distribute it. But where I'm at now is I have to put up the money myself. And I'm not putting up money for other people no more.
Right.
So what happened and like you said, it wasn't just like Kev. Yes, it's human nature. I don't take it personal for people to not reciprocate my thoroughness, because it's hard to be this thorough. I don't expect it from almost anybody at this level. But if you do what you got to do on your own, and I don't take it personal, but if you can do what you got to do on your own, if my block is clicking, I'll let you put your work on my block if it's good work. And
Right.
I haven't said no to anybody for that. So I didn't know you were reaching out to me. You know, every time I see you on the Instagram, I've acknowledged you. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right.
So I don't, and a lot of the things you have to understand is I'm not listening to what's going on outside. I'm not listening to the bad shit. And sometimes I don't hear the good shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm
Right.
really locked in. I've really become a creative, you know, and people say I'm the best business. I'm like, yo, I ain't got enough money to be the best businessman. I survive. And I'm not a businessman because I won't do anything for money. I'm a creative that does the business for my work. But I'm also a person that likes to share, pause. So I will give you my block if your work is good.
Got you.
Understand what I'm saying? But
Yes.
it's never a situation where I don't want to work with somebody. I just don't have the bandwidth. I'm a person that dreams every single day. That's why everything is colored paper and magic markers. I'm like a child in that way. But you have to be able to visualize what you want clearly. You have to be able to do that. And most people can't dream. They don't even know what they want other than to survive. So if I ask the average person, what's your dream? If somebody tells me I'm going to be an actor, one thing, number one, do you love the art of acting, or do you just want to be famous? Because half the time, people that want to act, that get in front of a camera, they don't watch movies, they don't study the craft, they don't even know how to remember a fucking line.
Right.
But you're going to, and when I ask someone about a rapper, you want to be a rapper, or do you love the art of poetry and rap, or do you just want the benefits of it? Because most people just want the benefits, but they don't love the art. And what they think is that because they only see the accolades and the performance, they don't know how much it takes to get to that point. And what you got to realize is when your dreams come true, then that's when things really become challenging. So I dream to have my own movie studio, and you've been seeing me fight for that dream since I met you, right? Director that can put his own movies out and have the distribution. That dream came true. I directed the movie, I got the distribution, we won about 4 festivals, but now I have to put the movie out. Now there's P&A with that. Now I got to go solicit the theaters. Now I got to go collect money. Now it gets way more challenging than making the movie.
Right.
Some people aren't ready for their dreams to come true because they don't even know what their dreams are. And once they get their dreams, because they don't know what their dreams are, they don't celebrate. And a dream then turns into a nightmare. So I'm dreaming all day long about how to make money doing the things I love and how not to make my family have to feel it, because I made a decision to be independent, to be free, to give my children, because I put 2 kids through college, or one's in college. And college hasn't helped a fucking thing. It cost 250 grand that I could have just gave to my daughter to invest in a business, and she wouldn't have lost 4 years fucking around paying somebody to tell her what to do that I'm paying. You understand what I'm saying?
Hell yeah.
Now, Dame, let me chime in, because you're hitting a lot of great key points, and this actually reminds me of an interview. And I feel like when I've seen you on platforms, yes, you're dreaming for yourself and you're building, but you've also given advice to other platforms and other people. You did an interview about 8 years ago on The Breakfast Club, and it was a very powerful conversation. And in that conversation, you talked about, how they should have ownership of the show, because how they're driving the culture and things of that nature. What are your thoughts surrounding that now that we're about 8 years out of that? Breakfast Club recently just got picked up by BET. BET is looking to be owned by Tyler Perry. What are your thoughts around Breakfast Club right now? And are you still hoping for them to, own that show? What are your thoughts?
They're never going to own that show, but they all own their own other shows. So, they listened. And sometimes, when people are complacent, the only way to get them to become great is to make them uncomfortable. So I made the whole world uncomfortable. I wanted to challenge the world to be great. And I think that the world has responded. If you look at the way people's perspective on independence is now as to then, it's completely different. It's cool now to be independent, where when I was talking about this shit 20, 30 years ago, they was like, are you crazy? Go against method? And I'm talking about down to when I did the paid in full and all that. The biggest enemy of me has been my brothers. The people that have tried to stop me from excelling in other places has always been the people that have the same color skin as me. And that's what's up, and that's a program. So I went to this jail in Chicago the other day. I've been going, and I know how this shit and the program, all right? Number one, it's a kid's jail. They're in a warehouse, no windows, no outdoor space. They're only breathing recycled air. They get no therapy other than from white women, right? When I went there, the kids were so cool. I'm like, what's going on? Why are they so cool? It was like a dope fiend cool, because they're all on meds, and it's called the cut program, like the cut. So if you take the program and take the meds, they put you out earlier. When you ask them, well, what's their reading scores? Because that's really all that counts. The average is 4th grade, which ensures that they'll be back. Then I asked, what are the budgets for these kids per bed? $1 million.
Wow.
That's an insane asylum. They're torturing our kids. They're breaking our spirit. They're not educating them, but they're drugging them up, putting them back in aggressive places that traumatize them in the first place, and they're preparing them to go back. And these are the children that get put with children that don't have these traumas, but they still get influenced by it. And it's a cycle that needs to stop. So I just feel like we be paying attention to the wrong shit. We know the problems. We don't try to figure out the answers. And I feel like I'm the solution. So I'm not going to tell you to be independent without being independent. I'm not going to tell you to help kids if you're not going to help, if I'm not helping kids or trying to help give curriculum. I'm part of the OSG. That's 250 principals from economically challenged places. I go around the schools. I have a book. My girl and myself she got a book out called Dusko Goes to Space. It teaches these kids how to dream, and it brings their cognitive skills up 30%. We've been going hand in hand, going in the schools, went to 40 schools in 2 months to tell these kids and the teachers and the principals how to dream. So I'm not a part of the question. I'm never going to be triggering people about a problem without a solution. I am the solution. If there's more people doing what I'm doing and sticking together, we do not need them. But I will keep pushing. And I'm not going to be mad at anybody but us if we don't take control of this narrative once we know the problem. The problem is we put ourselves in a box. We're meant to divide, so we will fight and never look at our oppressor for what they're doing to us. And instead, because we internalize all that bullshit, we fight our brothers. And the only people that care to listen are the people that love us the most. And those are the ones that have to get the most abuse. And it's a program.
Absolutely. Let me ask you this as well, because a lot of things about you, right? One thing is you've actually never had to experience going through the prison system. You've been able to, regardless of your surroundings and regardless of the culture, regardless of the things happening in the world, you've been able to continue to live and push through, continue to inspire a culture without having to experience that. One, what does that mean to you looking back? But then also, how? Because, so many times, a lot of these guys are going to come into the industry regardless of how they grew up, because of what they see around us, because of what they're surrounded with, because of what we're seeing these, music industry push. Go ahead, yeah.
That's why I'm making these movies that showcase a different visual. They usually only show us either getting abused or abusing each other. They never show us with lineage or what it looks like generational wealth or doing anything, like I said, other than entertainment. So that's why I can't talk. Like, the worst thing in the world to me is, or the biggest oxymoron or contradiction is when, like, I've had friends that be like, we got to go to the schools, blah, 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 that make music. But in the music, it talks about killing. So, like, we can't tell these kids not to kill and hurt each other, but that's what we making money off selling. That's what they dancing to. I can't talk that shit and not make the material that I'm doing be that shit. So that's why when you hear me talking, this is what I'm talking about. When you see me leveraging my celebrity, it's for principals and schools and for things that matter, So I'm making a difference. I'm watching it. Like you said, 8 years ago was a completely different mentality. I gave everyone a boss mentality. It bothered them at first because anything that's unknown is going to give you anxiety. It's a chemical, hormonal thing. But once they got over the bullshit, I became that angel that delivered that message. But, in the Bible, they said angel comes white with blonde hair and feathers. Now he comes like a superhero gangster because he has to fight off everybody that's lying. So you got to be tough to be good. And don't think you can't be soft and you just can't, because you things will get taken from you. Freedom is something that people think is an entitlement. You got to fight for it, and that's the challenge. Life is meant to be a challenge every day. Everything that's presented to you is God's test to see how you're going to react to it. So I'd just rather be cool through every test. There is no fail. It's only an L, which would be a learning experience if I don't win. But at the end of the day, at that moment, at some point, I'm getting that W. And I'm fighting until I get that W because I'm a winner. And I don't care. Can't nobody tell me I'm not winning when I am. So if I'm independent and I got my own shit and everyone doesn't celebrate it, that don't mean I'm not winning. That means y'all don't know.
Right. I dig that, brother. I dig that now. That's real.
Before social media, niggas thought I was living in a shelter. The only reason why people know, and I got all the receipt because I taped every second. I was like, y'all never gonna say I live in a shelter when I'm not. I'm a videotape every one of these things with a 5D, and once
Damn. There
and once there was a YouTube and all that. Before they was monitoring that, I was already putting out my hieroglyphics. I'm gonna control my narrative and my likeness and my story. I'm not gonna make them look like I was something I wasn't and celebrate some lame. It's not gonna happen.
And we appreciate you. If you haven't heard that in a while, which I'm pretty sure you do, thank you for all that you're doing for the culture. Last question, and then guys, I actually want to take a look at this trailer, because speaking of, showing different narratives, having different material, I want to show that. But last question for you, because it's been a big conversation recently on the BET Awards. I saw it talked about, but also just in my own.
I wasn't even invited to the BET Awards. Let's get to that.
Well, how did that make, what are your thoughts about that? How did that make you feel? Because it was supposed to be the biggest night. We're celebrating 50 years.
If I wanted to go, it would matter.
Say it for me again, I'm sorry.
Damn, he said if I wanted to go.
If I wanted to go, I'm 52. I don't feel like doing all that. But if I wanted to go, it would matter. It's just disrespectful not even to ask.
Why do you think they didn't ask?
Because the Blackballed thing. People choose sides. It's been made like that for us culturally to choose sides. And whoever does that makes another culture choose, within the culture choose sides, to me is a sucker. Whoever listens to that shit is a sucker. So whoever's listening to that, look in the mirror and say, yo, I'm a sucker. That's what you need to say to yourself. Look in the mirror when you take that shower, when you by yourself, you should feel ashamed of yourself. You should feel like shit getting into another man's business, and especially a black man's business. Play the game fair. Just give me a fair one. A one-on-one. That's all I want.
You know what? I'm gonna remember that, because I'm gonna talk to you, Dame. I'm gonna talk to you, and I got 3 completed movies: comedy, horror, 3 done. And if
that's
we get
easy,
together,
I can put that out tomorrow. That's nothing, bro.
Okay, but make sure when my check comes, I get all my money that I need to be getting.
Now, that's not the position we would be in.
Like the
You're the
Jews
boss.
go, man.
No. See, that's where you're wrong. When you distribute something, that's just distribution. It's for the person that owns the master to be the man that go get his money. That's the problem. See, when you're going to be the boss, you have to think of things different. There's no longer people cut you checks. You become the man that cuts the checks. You become the man that finds the distribution. So if you make that kind of decision to be the creative, you also have to make the decision to do what you got to do for the business. Just as much time as you spend behind that camera doing what you love, as a businessman and as a real man, you have to go and do the things you don't love as well. And that's been my problem a lot, is I don't do anything I don't love. And I don't do nothing for money. Okay. But I do have to do, like, the worst part of my day is dealing with the bills and dealing with all that shit. I don't want to have somebody else. I got to be like, yo, where's my money? I'm going to be like, yo, here's a link. This is how you collect your money. And then you go get it.
Okay.
So let me chime in there. Something that you mentioned, and where I was taking this, as far as what we're seeing in the music industry right now, right? Like, there are a lot of people, as you say, doing things for money because that's what they're saying. Hey, crime sales, sex sales, all these things. But we're seeing that go from being in the rap lyrics to actually being on the streets, where we're seeing a lot of rappers, a lot of up and coming rappers killing one another, dying. Why do you think we're seeing that continue to unfold? And for me, I can't speak to back then because I wasn't, here just yet, but it seems like it's getting worse. It seems like I'm seeing it more often than ever. What are your thoughts?
The reason why before there was no social media and there wasn't algorithms, there wasn't data to understand behavioral patterns. But yes, with evil people, they're going to take the algorithms, they're going to push what's negative. You notice, and that's another reason why it was important for me to start a different algorithm, something that's about inspiration, where we hear people talking. So, it's definitely challenging now to stop the spread of bullshit because they're pushing that shit, And if you go into a record company right now, they'll say, all we want is drill music. Meaning, and to be official in drill music means you got to really be doing what you're saying. So you're actually asking to put up music that talks about kids killing each other. Now, I'm not knocking the kids because they don't know no better. But what I'm knocking is the people, the adults that try to make money off of these kids hurting themselves, put insurance policies on them because they're like, we'll get paid regardless. Actually, we'll get paid more if they die.
Damn, that's fucked up. True.
Every time a signed rapper dies, there's an insurance policy. Thank you. There's an insurance policy, and people make $100 million of what they think they could have made.
Well, speaking of inspiring stories and changing the narratives, I think this is a great time to pivot to the amazing Prince of Detroit. I want to take a look at the trailer and come back and get you all's thoughts, and also have Dame talk all about it. Let's take a look.
See, but you don't have hustle muscle.
Run it back.
Want race? You ain't gonna race with nothing. 10,000 with me. Quite a good.
Go!
Got a man don't got no money. Guns, so nobody take that money.
So would anyone else like to question my leadership?
I ain't got time to kick it. I got kids to feed. That's what happens when you come in my castle. I'm the Prince of Detroit.
Yeah, now, in that we have Columbus Short, Tory Hart, Faison Love. I'm extremely excited to see it. Last question for you before we head out, what can people expect from the movie when we do get to lay our eyes on it?
I'll tell you some subtle things. Number one, the story is a true story about Tommy Duncan and his family. His stepfather and his mother bought a hospital out of in distress. First Black family to buy a hospital in Detroit, and they lost it all. And then Tommy Duncan and his mother, about 3 years ago, got it back, sold a company for $120 million in healthcare. And then she tragically, I don't want to tell everybody, but
Yeah, don't tell the story. Don't tell it.
Yeah, all that's not gonna happen in the first installment. So it was about 3 or 4 of them. I shot 2 already. I got to do some pickups and edit the second one. And you know, it's if you notice, all the colors match. You know, if you notice, you know, there's Tommy and look how look how closely they look like the actual characters. The clothes that the main characters are wearing, Brittany and Columbus, are the actual clothes that they wore. You know what I mean? I scored it. So my band and I scored it. So you'll hear the, you know, I'm in a rock band. People don't know about that. People know about it, but nobody be saying that. It's like nothing, you know what I know? Nothing that I do will surprise anybody at this point. People are just like, this dude's supposed to do everything. He's that, I'm that man. I'm a superhero. You know, and I take pride in that. But that's the only thing that sometimes gets frustrating. I'd be like, yo, I mean, it's not like I'm a businessman directing. No one, like, what the, you know what I'm saying? I'm a businessman in a rock band. You know, I'm a businessman that does all these creative things. Like, you tell me anybody that does both.
Me, but okay. Let me
You in a rock band? You in a rock band?
Nigga, no, don't worry about it, bro. Don't worry about it.
Why you don't want nobody to know?
Because I'm like you, nigga. But hold on.
I want everybody to know. I'm asking. You in a rock band?
I fuck with you. First of all, on some real shit, because I've made movies myself. Big congratulations, man. I know how hard it is. If you're doing from the beginning to the end, I mean, writing scripts to casting and all that, and scoring and all that, that is huge, first of all, okay? Because, you know, if you notice, people who don't know, look at the end of a movie, you see 1,000 name credits. This man took about 500 of names or shit and did it under himself. So that's a boss move right there. Also, the fact that you got Nicholas Turturro somewhere, man, shout out to that, my man, Nicholas Turturro. You brought him back. That's a nice look for those who don't know. So you give it back to those people.
He's my local racist. Not only the racist, I am. He's a great racist.
That's funny. That's funny. All right, but congratulations. And guess what? I ain't never seen a nigga make a movie about healthcare, and I'm a supporter, nigga. You know, to see him up and go.
Well, it's gonna be out. It's gonna be out in about 45 days, on my streaming service, America New. This is my next movie. It's called Dead Weight. I made it into a comic book first, and again, we do all this shit ourselves. So it's a comic book, and then here's that children's book I was telling you about that Rocky did. Again, we do it all ourselves, and go into the schools with it. And the work is better than any 1%'er's work, because we, you know, they're not better than me. So if I'm mad about the way, because if I have a child and I don't like the books, then I make my own books. And I did, if I don't like this, because we also have a television network for children called Applefish. So and you could go to Applefish right now with applefishkids.com, and it'll be like school while they're entertained. So we don't like the content that our kids are watching. We make our own content. I'm not going to complain. I'm going to do it myself.
And I respect that. But let me ask you a question, because I don't take them, but I want to know if you take them. Do you take any medicine for narcissism? You taking any medicine for that right now?
It's called weed, and ignoring people that call me narcissist.
I love it, nigga.
You know, let me explain another program, how we've been programmed, right?
Right.
If you go into like any older yoga health thing, they say affirmations are important. Giving yourself compliments are important.
Mm-hmm.
So what we've been taught to make us humble is if we celebrate who we are and give ourselves affirmations, that we're narcissists.
Yes,
a narcissist is someone that has a false sense of self that's not doing anything. Right. So if I'm telling you I'm great without showing you great things, that's a narcissist.
Right.
But a person that's showing you what they've actually done and reaffirming that, it's called affirmations. It's not called happiness. Don't let them keep you humble.
Come on now. I feel you. I respect that.
I think that's definitely a great soundbite for people to take that and seriously consider that, because I agree. I'm big on affirmations as well, and speaking into yourself, you know, first thing in the morning. So thank you for that, Dame. Now, before I let you head out, Dame, one last topic before we head out. We're actually going to be joined by Marcus Board to present our No Cap.
I'll tell you one more thing we did that I haven't launched yet.
That's that narcissism.
A magazine with my daughter on the cover.
Wow.
So my daughter wants to be a model. You don't have to model for nobody else. I'll make a magazine and put you on the cover of it.
Yeah, it is.
You come out of your own clothes. You want me to show you something else? Because you want to know why. And before we leave, I'm gonna say one more thing. Just like
This thing got man, nice house with that. Yeah, nice house.
Thank you.
Oh shit! And they got the what are those? What are those?
These are the CEOs. The CEOs. So these are the sneakers.
Oh, I love it.
And I'm gonna just give you a hair care coming. You know what I'm
damn.
saying? Yeah, because I gotta pass these. I got 5 kids, so I gotta have 5 different companies. But I got 10. But
I around go broke supporting your ass. Shit.
And I have a studio, a 9-acre studio. See, in the wintertime, this is where I stay, even though it's getting a little hot. But we about to go to the ranch. But in the wintertime, I stay in Florida, and I have a studio out here. It's 9 acres. It's built from the blueprint. Yeah, but nobody wants to talk about it. So I'm on the lake chilling in the winter. You know, and I'm able to still raise my child and be with my girl and do all the things I want to do.
God damn.
With Rocky, and then my baby's in here chilling. And look at this.
Man, you living real good. You better still be friends with Jay-Z now. Come on now.
Say that again?
Come on. I said you living real good. I hope you're still friends with Jay-Z now. That helped you get there now. Helped you get there.
The wrong thing to say.
It's our business, and we'll deal with that.
All right.
But the one thing that's great about me is I know I'm doing great when I'm not comparing myself to nobody.
I know that's right.
That's another thing. Never compare yourself to nobody so you can enjoy what you're doing.
I know that.
I love it. Now, Dame, don't go anywhere just yet. We're actually going to go into our next segment, No Capital, with Marcus Board, who's actually going to present one of the most trending topics right now. So, Marcus Board, I will hand it over to you.
Fridays at 8 on Peachtree TV.
Why do you feel it's so important to support Black-owned businesses?
Some of Atlanta's best Black-owned businesses take center stage.
Whoa!
Black Friday Report.
Okay. Oh!
Only on Atlanta's own Peachtree TV.
Thanks, Anthony. Thanks, Dane, for being here. As you know, Marcus Board here with Comedy Hype News, visiting No Capital. A viral video has caught everyone's attention, and it shows a man punching a woman in the face after an argument. According to Fox 32, a local news station in Chicago, Carlisha Hood is facing murder charges, along with her 14-year-old son, after she allegedly told him to shoot the man who hit her. Hood and her son were arrested in connection to the murder of 32-year-old Jeremy Brown, who was pronounced dead at the scene after suffering 2 gunshot wounds to the back. Hood and her son were charged with 1 count of first-degree murder. Hood was also charged with contributing to the delinquency of a minor. So right off the bat, the first thing people want to know is, are they wrong, right? And it's a layered question, right? That we want to ask these simple questions sometimes, but the reality is, this is a challenging situation, right? I've worked with kids for 20 years. A 14-year-old shooting somebody and killing them is never good. Somebody attacking and violence against women is never good, right? Having to be in this situation, in these circumstances where we are limited in our opportunities, limited in our capacity to de-escalate situations, limited in our opportunities to get out of these types of situations, and then limited in our chances to actually deal with it when it comes to actually calling police and having them go on to punish people with jails and prisons, as was mentioned earlier. These are the type of situations we end up in, and it's not fair to even get there. So when we talk about right or wrong, you have to think about the context first. And if we're not thinking about the context, then we're not actually dealing with the situation and the people, right? We know Chicago gets used as a way for white people to say, nigga. Chicago, woke, these are just different ways that people get to call Black people's names that they don't actually want to call them. But the reality is we actually need to push these conversations further, be more united, be more connected, deal with these community problems so that we don't have to actually rely on the state to punish and to prosecute us. Capone, I see you over here. What you think, man? You saw the situation? How you feeling about it?
I think it was self-defense. He punched that woman repeatedly like she was not even human. And any child, I don't care, 13, 14, 30, would have shot him if they had the opportunity. Yeah. It could have been avoided. He could have walked away.
Yeah.
He wanted to hit that woman. He kept telling her, order your food or I'm going to punch you or I'm going to beat on you, whatever he said. I don't know the words exactly. But to me, him getting shot was self-defense.
And that's the question of legality, but I'm asking right and wrong.
Can I say something real quick? Can I say something real quick?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
The biggest problem here is that was two Black people that killed each other over no reason. And this is the cycle and the program that has to stop. So when you go back to the kids' jail and what they teach these kids and drug them up and put them back into, they become trained soldiers.
You talking about the Audi homes? That's what it's called in Chicago, the juvenile prison. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was called the juvenile prison when I went down there. I was down there yesterday.
That's what we call it.
I mean, I was down there the day before yesterday, and it was, but this is the biggest thing that's the problem is, number one, that dude that punched that girl in the face, he's never right. You're not supposed to hit a woman. But that's part of that program where you internalize what the repressor's doing, you take it out on the people you love, you overreact. That kid had a gun because in Chicago, whether you're a good person or not, you want to be able to defend yourself. Now, somebody puts their hands on your mother, that's what's going to happen. Is that right in the law? That's a setup. Right. Make them aggravate each other enough to where they hurt each other. Now, look what just happened. I'm quite sure that dude that got killed has a kid. Now that kid has no father because the mother got to do extra work. The kid's going to go to jail. And hopefully that kid's not old enough to have a kid, but more than likely he doesn't have a father or has a father that was incarcerated or got killed. And now the mother going to go to jail. And if the mother got any other kids, now them kids are going to get raised by the street. They just disenfranchise a whole family. 3 different generations will get affected by that. And you know what else is happening? It's going to be news and they're going to laugh at us. Because now the 2 people that are going to jail, and if they get convicted, they're going to be working for slave wages. And instead of calling calling the slave master, they're going to say warden and CO. And that's the program. So we have to get our mentality right and deal with our unrecognized trauma so we don't overreact. We all need therapy. So it's hard for me to judge a child no matter what, because he's a child. That's why when I go into these places and I see these 15-year-olds and 16-year-olds with 40 years with bodies, I'm not mad at the kid. I'm mad at what produced that kid.
And that's why I appreciate what you said about talking to schools earlier and being in
100%.
touch with principals. But that's something, Pierre, too, we've talked about this earlier on a previous segment about schools and kids being able to be kids. So one of the big parts about this story is that the child was 14 years old. Tell us anything you want to say about this situation and the kid being involved.
I mean, I'm going to be honest. Dame said everything I wanted to say. Jesus Christ. I mean, he hit it on the head from beginning to end. It really is. It's a systemic situation, man. We can lay blame here and there, but it's rooted before that gunshot. I mean, before that punch, it's rooted. Something started before that. The way we see each other as not human sometimes, Black on Black scenarios, And again, like David said, at the end of the day, people are laughing at, the folks that run this, the puppet masters, are laughing at us while we're doing this shit. Who's to blame? Who's to run? Unfortunately, somebody's dead right now. But the point goes before that. How do we stop it before that man punches that woman in the face because he's upset with her? That's how we got to kind of figure that out. Because once it happens, like Dame said, it starts to trickle down, and you start having childless, children, and fatherless children.
And then what happens to a kid with no parents that gets raised by the street? Somebody with some other trauma abuses that kid.
Of course, there you go.
Another kid. It's a cycle.
Yep.
It is a cycle.
Yep. There's so many tough kids out there that have been violated because they've been left alone.
You know what, Dame? I had a question. I mean, it's kind of with this. I've always wondered this, and this is something you'll know because you're in the music industry. You were in the music industry.
But you know, in the music industry. I just told you I distribute 7 labels.
All right.
I distribute 7 labels.
Okay.
Don't get caught up in that program, bro.
Okay.
They don't empower me.
All right, let me ask you a question. So I see these videos, these young drill rappers, they're in the videos talking about killing somebody, shooting somebody on YouTube, shooting, killing, they got the guns in the video, all that. And the videos still play and play and play. But if I said I would slap the shit out of somebody in the LGBTQ, they would take my video down. They would block me. Why is that? You know
why it is?
And no problem.
Because that's Leo Cohen pushing that algorithm. I told you when Cam and Mace was beefing and they was rapping, YouTube paid Cam money to respond. Oh, wow. That's what I'm saying. Exactly. So something as obvious as that is just as obvious as that. Right. You know the reason. That's why you think they don't want Chinese running TikTok, because they're pushing us different shit in our algorithm. Pause. So people just have to understand that the world is based on behavior patterns and studies, and that and that data is the reason why Elon Musk bought Twitter. And data is where people make the most money in these streaming, when they're aggregating behavior.
Right.
So yes, they manipulate knowing what we consider clickbait, and it's unfortunately, why do you think when I put a movie in the theater, it's not in the news, but if somebody accuses me of some kind of sexual assault, it's in everywhere, and then once I win and kick ass, go through a whole trial,
they don't say nothing.
The fucking word. I already know why.
Let me jump in though real quick, because we've been describing the system, right? And there are words that actually apply to this thing. The people, Dame, you don't know this, right? I'm a Howard University professor. But there are words that describe these things: white supremacy, patriarchy, homophobia, right? There is a system that does reinforce some of these problems in ways that keep us from being able to have this conversation clearly, right? So yes, Pierre, if you say something homophobic, yeah, somebody's going to come up there because there is a particular power structure involved that is tied directly into white supremacy. No question. Doesn't mean necessarily, though, that Black queer people don't exist and aren't being harmed. You didn't say that, and I understand, but I'm just making that point. But separately, as we have this conversation about why people are doing what they're doing, the underlying theme that we're not actually touching on is capitalism and exploitation, right? So we spent the first hour of this conversation talking about
We're not putting
corporatism.
a title on it. We're not putting a title on that.
It's important, and that's what I'm saying. It's important to name these things so that we can actually address the problem. So as much as we can,
I tend to give them different names so that it relates more. So I mean, like culture vulture. You know what I'm saying? You know, you have to be. I know what you're saying.
But you said slavery too, right? And slavery and capitalism go hand in hand. So this is one 100%. Of the problems. Is that
listen, people, listen. If you want to get to that, anything that revolves around money, which is man-made, is meant to control us. So yes. If you worship money, you will be a slave to it, just like they want you to be slave to God. When money becomes your God, then you will be a slave to it. And that's the devil, to be honest. Money is the devil, and love is the God. And love is the currency that I'm the capitalist for. But here's the issue though. And here's where things get tough. So one thing we talked about earlier is being free, right? And I come from the Toni Morrison school, right? When you're free, your job is to free somebody else. When you have power, your job is to get somebody else power. And I hear you talking about that. But when we have this situation where a woman is being beat on in the food spot, her son comes in and shoots somebody, when we have the conversation about solutions, we can't just leave it at the system is fucked up. We have to also say, hey, we need to have these conversations about restorative justice, right? So when we're talking about Chicago specifically, Chicago has significant programmings to fight against gang culture, right? Everybody's talking about put the guns down. And so one of the things that this story does, but the government
it brings that up without necessarily talking about the solutions that people are doing. Say it again, I didn't hear you.
The government is the one that was dropping bags of guns off in the first place.
Oh, 100%.
In Chicago, 80% of the murders don't get solved.
Facts. Yeah, you know? And putting people in jail don't necessarily right wrongs.
Well, that's the business. They get $1 million a head. They get $88,000 a month and don't give
100%. Yeah, and private prisons are a big part of the problem too.
The reason why we weren't going into that part of it, because I just don't want to get into judging anybody.
No, I'm talking about solutions. When we're talking about these issues, right? One of the ways that
is a chip. Well, if you're asking that question,
no, what I'm saying is one of the ways that this situation gets blown out of proportion is that it's put out on networks that we don't own, unlike Comedy Hype News, right? And they use it as a vehicle to be able to talk about Black people being dysfunctional, Black people being violent,
It's going to be all over white people's feeds.
But what we can do is have the conversation about what the solutions are. And as long as we're doing that and having that conversation in a real and transparent way about creating jobs, the new mayor, Brandon Johnson, creating a youth jobs program that everybody knows, trying to get the schools better so that people's literacy is higher. These are real problems that lead to real solutions.
If the question is about the solution, that's what I think that I've been talking about. But the solution with the kids jail is, number one, to get them out of there, right? So they got to get out of there. We have to bring a lot of awareness to it. And what we did was, to me, the mayor of Gary, he just got elected. His name is Senator Eddie Milton, right? Gary is a gold mine. There's nothing but land out there, and there's a lot of things you could do. What we need is a transitional rehab facility for reentry. So we need to, before people get out the jails, get them healthy, get them therapy, and then also get them a job skill. Also, 70% of the people that come out of a jail, if they don't have a house to go to, they go back to a jail. So we need a place for these people. We need these places for these people to live while they're educated. When you go to jail, you're not allowed to make $1. You work for slave wages and you come out uneducated. So it's a guaranteed 100% that if you don't have a place to live, you will not get hired, that you are going back, and that's a program.
So let's add it to the track Chiron then with
so the
Stephanie,
solution,
Dame Dash is the abolitionist.
So the
Welcome
solution,
to the club.
I just got to know what abolitionist means, but solution is, that's what I mean. So solutions are, number one, learning how to lobby, getting with your local senator and understanding how to get a vote, how to vote, get a law and get a law passed. And that's the curriculum that you get from me as well. So I'm also part of something called the commission, which is Congressman Andre Carson, Senator Eddie Milton, Dr. Chris for medicine. We have Dennis McKeezy, who's the head of the OSG for education, which is 250 principals around the world. And we also have Tajay, who gives us therapy and the voice that we want, because Black people don't get therapy. So the study of therapy comes from white people. So when we finally get it, we're getting the wrong medicine for the wrong trauma.
I'm not saying that's wrong.
Then we have city councilman Do-It-All Dupree, the first city election official that went platinum in hip hop, crushing them down in Newark. So
not saying that's wrong.
Now this is the solution. The solution is all Black mayors that get together and take notes.
That's wrong.
And to me, to focus on the problems and figure out.
We've done this research, Dan. I'm a political scientist. We've done the research. Having descriptive representation doesn't actually solve the problems for Black people and Black communities.
I wasn't finished though.
So you were going on for a while. I'm trying to.
I know, but what I'm saying is I'm giving you the solution. And this is, you brought up something and you're very lengthy when you ask a question. So you're gonna get a lengthy answer. So what I'm saying is, hold on. What I'm saying is, I just don't want people to think there's no plan. And it hasn't been done where we understand government contracts, where they spend the money, and to give them what they need and what the real problems are. We don't know what they are.
The master's tools won't dismantle the master's house, Dan. It's just that simple, right? Audre Lorde said it over 40 years ago.
I didn't say build a jail. I said build a transitional rehab facility and get housing.
And I'm with that.
No one's done that yet.
I'm with that. They do have transitional rehab facilities in Chicago.
Not made by us. No.
All right, guys, I wanna wrap us up.
Tell me where.
I got you. I'll send it to you.
Be very specific. Listen, I'm gonna make a call. Be very specific.
There we go. Come on, Capone. Hold on, Capone. I'll let you wrap us up. Capone, what'd you say? Capone.
I'm doing a movie about it. I just did a movie about healthcare. The next thing I'm gonna be doing a movie about is how they treat these kids in jail. 100%.
All right. Well, I want to be in the movie, and then we'll solidify everything.
God.
Well, you definitely can't. You have to play a CO. You ain't gonna play. You can't play a kid no more.
Nigga, I'm old enough to be the mayor.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. Hey, Capone.
I love it. No, guys. So I'm gonna wrap us up.
Wait, Capone. Tell them what I used to do to these comedians on the set. Pause. Let them know.
All right, guys. I'm gonna wrap us up. I love it. I'm gonna wrap us up. Hey guys, I'm gonna wrap us up. I do love the passion behind finding solutions. I do want to list one program here in Atlanta as I wrap us up. Next Level Boys Academy actually talks to young men while they're, whether they're in the prison system or before they even go, just to help, create those programs that we talked about. That's in Chicago and all those things. So I'm extremely excited and happy that we were able to show some passion behind the solution. But I do want to wrap us up. Again, thank you so much, Dame Dash, for joining us. We'll give him a round of applause. We'll be looking out very closely for Prince of Detroit and all the things that you have coming up, the comic books, the hair care. I'm definitely going to be looking out for it. Hopefully, they can be good for locks. Oh, yeah, we have a pair of sneakers right here in the studio. Dame, before I let you head out, where can everybody go to keep up with all the things that you're doing with the sneakers, with the books, with the films? We got, like I said, we got the sneakers here in the studio. So go ahead, Dame. Where can we go, Dame, to catch everything that you're doing? What's the website?
I would say the hub where you get all the information in one spot is usually Paul's Dusko Poppington Instagram. That's where you filter all the businesses and you see everything happening, as well as you see my perspective on things. And American New. Oh, you can see it's so many different handles. I can go on my Instagram, go to the links, and they'll show you. Also, I'm doing something with Billy Carson. I don't know if y'all know who he is, but we're doing this a class on entrepreneurship in August. So watch out for that. And, you know, Freeway and myself get an album at the studio with a rock album. So October, we're going to be out with that. And so every month there'll be a new vertical launched. And also I just made my son the president of Blue Rock Records. So that was a big deal for me to be able to have a music company to give to my child, but not in the way of like, you know, anything but us distributing labels, you know, and also looking out for the stuff that we do. And there'll be a soundtrack for the Prince of Detroit. I'm doing a competition with Orbits.com, looking for a record or something for somebody, but I did the majority of the soundtrack, but there's still room for one or two more, but you'll get that as well. So just look for a lot of creative things. And I know y'all, you know, never surprise anybody what I do. But you know, if y'all don't support me, you know they won't. But I just need, I gotta eat off the land. But whatever you buy instead of theirs is better than theirs. Trust me.
I love it. Congratulations on everything. You know, it has to, you know, Capone, you know who it sounds like. Because every time I talk to you, Capone, I'd be like, Capone, what new business we got coming up? Where do we go? Capone, I'm coming over to you. What do you have coming up? And of course, how can people follow you?
This week coming up, the big show at Levity Live, 7 shows. The New York Kings meet talent, Rob Stapleton and Mark Vieira. 4 shows is already sold out. We're trying to sell out that Thursday show. Get those tickets. We're doing it like we always do, real big. Thank you.
You promote your own shows?
Yeah.
So let's do a screening and a Q&A and some comedy, because you know Faison's in the movie too. I bring him. You want to do one of those?
Yeah, let's do it.
Like a screening, a screening. Well, I'm telling you, a screening with a Q&A and a comedy show, because you know Faison's in it.
I want to sing Reunited and it feels so good.
And I don't remember. I don't remember what you said I was mad about, but you could refresh my memory another time. I don't remember.
Who? Me?
You remember you like I was mad about. I don't remember.
I was just trying to get in contact with you and do everybody, and I couldn't. That's all. I didn't know.
Well, let me go over to Pierre. Pierre, what do you have coming up? And of course, how can people follow you?
I got 3 goddamn scripts movies that are done and shit. So we'll get to Dame and shit in a second. I got sitcoms already written, motherfucker. All right, I got movies. He really don't know who he fucking with. You know, he think I'm a light-skinned comedian, nigga. I'm a writer, producer, director, finance. I run my own company, nigga. I'm like you, nigga. I understand. And I'm a narcissist. And I'm an asshole, nigga. You understand? I get it, nigga.
Do you have a script for like what I just described to him?
Of course I do, nigga. I'm half white, nigga. What's wrong with you? So you might not want to work with me all the time, you know, 100% of the time. But I'm down. I'm down for black shit. So don't get me wrong. Don't get me fucked up, homie. But no.
Send it over here. Something I can shoot real quick. Knock it out. Get it done and start editing.
Man, you man.
Y'all got to come see the facility so you know what it's all about. But I also got LA too.
But now keep doing anything. But y'all, I got the biggest thing I got coming is tomorrow night. I got something in Atlanta called Comedy Hype News Live. I'm gonna be in the place to be, and I'm at the Uptown all weekend this weekend in Atlanta. So after that, catch me there. But I'm doing my podcast. I got some dope people. I got my man Ralph Tresvant coming through. I try to get someone like this gentleman here, but it's too, man. I asked you 2 questions and it's an hour show, nigga. So you know, I ain't gonna ask you. So fuck it. Damn it. That's all I got going on, man.
Hopefully we're speaking the same language.
Come on now, we all do. I'm telling you.
I love it. Last and certainly not least, Mr. Marcus Board, what do you have coming up? And of course, how can people follow you?
Yeah, I just wanted to shout out the Not Me We in Chicago, doing great work. They just had a community benefit agreement summit, trying to get the Obama Center to support tenants on the south side of Chicago. Also, shout out to the folks fighting to stop Cop City in Atlanta. You can reach me at marcusboard.com. Looking forward to being back with y'all. Thanks, Symphony, for your patience today.
No, absolutely. I appreciate it. Again, thank you all for chiming in on these topics and bringing the passion. You know, we always talk about the problems, but I love being able to end with the solution. So again, thank you all for joining and chiming in on this topic. You heard from us. Now we want to hear from you in the comments below. For Comedy Hype News, I'm Symphony Thompson.
Put it in them comments. I know they come in the comments.
Yes,
Man.
Do you know the comedy culture? Play Comedy Hype, the game. Out now.